Assalamu alaikum. In this video we are going to learn about the IP address, what is IPv4 and IPv6 address, what is difference between public IP and private IP, and what is static IP and dynamic IP, what is network interface card, and what are the routers. So IP address is a unique address of every device that is connected to internet. For example, you are currently watching this video on the internet, you have an IP address. When I will upload this video on the internet, I should have an IP address. So every device that is connected to the internet will have an IP address. So this is an example of IPv4 address. IP address looks like this. For example, your mobile that is connected with the internet will have an IP address similar to like this. So it is a 32-bit numeric address which consists of 4 octets. For example, this is first octet, this is second octet, this is third octet, and this is fourth octet. And each octet can range from 0 to 255. For example, here I can write 0 to 255 any value. For example, here I can also write 254.94.29.13. Here I can write instead of 13 94 79, any value between 0 to 255. And this IP address has nothing value over the internet because our computer does not understand this value. It understands IP address in this format. So we will learn that how to convert this into this format, that is from numeric format to the binary format. We convert this into numeric format for our understanding, but our computer first convert this into the binary format, then use it for any purpose. So we know that here are 4 octets. So each octet literal meaning is consist of 8s. So each octet consists of 8 bits. For example, this first octet consists of these 8 bits of zeros, and then this next octet consists of these 8 bits, and the next octet is consist of these 8 bits, and next octet consists of these 8 bits. So the total number of bits are 32 for data 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, data 32. And if you write on the internet 2 raised to power 32, it will tell you that what are the total possible number of IP addresses. Let's say we write it on the Google 2 raised to power 32, and it is saying that 4.2 billion IP addresses are possible by using this format, that is 32-bit. So let's learn about that, how to convert this numeric format into this binary format. Here is 8-bit octet chart. In this we give value to every bit from 1 to 128, that is 2 raised to power. For example, all bits are 0 initially. So we give them values on the basis of 2 raised to power 0. This is 2 raised to power 1. This is 2 raised to power 2, and so on. And this is 2 raised to power 7, which is 128. So if this bit is on, it means it has 128 value. For example, here second bit is on, which is 64. So it has 64 value. So next it has second. This bit is on, which has 2 value, that is 2 raised to power 1, and 64 plus 2 becomes 66. And if we go a little above, here it is telling that it is 66. So by this way we can calculate these values. For example, next we have second bit on, which means our 64 value, and then we have these all 4 bits on, that are our 16, 8, 4 and 2, and when we combine these numbers it will become 94. So here it is telling that if you have 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 value, and we will count only that bit which is on, it means that which is 1. So here the second last bit, that means 7th bit is on, it means we will get the 64 value, then all these bits are off and this bit is on, so we will get 2 value, and its combination will become 6. Here next is this bit is on and these all bits are on, so we will add these all values and it will become 94. So by this way we calculate our IP address. So here it is calculated the 1 by 1 value, that is this becomes 94, and this becomes 29, and this becomes 13. As we know that this IP address is 32-bit IP address, and if we see its possible combination, then that becomes 4.2 billion IP addresses. So when the network engineers made the IP address, they do not figure out that one day these IP addresses will become short. As now all devices are going online, for example cameras, devices, and currently 20 billion devices are online. So how to give addresses to 20 billion devices with the 4 billion addresses? So that's why they figure out that in the future these online devices will increase more, and we need to figure out some its alternate solution. So that's why they made its alternative, that is IPv6 address. This IP address consists of 128-bit address, hexadecimal address, instead of 32-bit address. So this IPv6 address looks like this. So if you calculate the 2 raised to power 128-bit address, then it will become value in trillions. Let's say here we say 128, and this value is in 340 trillions and something, and these are the IP addresses that are impossible to run out. So if you want to see the IP address of your own computer, then you will go to the command, open the command prompt from the search bar and write here ipconfig on Windows. When you write ipconfig, it will show you the network details. For example, here it is showing me that my IPv4 address is this 192.168.15.106, and similarly it is also saying me that my IPv6 address is this, which is 128-bit hexadecimal address. So by this you can find the IP address of your computer. On the Linux you can write ifconfig, and on the Windows you can write ipconfig for knowing the IP address of your computer. Now our next topic is public IP and private IP. We know that when we connect to the internet, we need an IP address. We also know that by going to the command prompt, we can find out the IP address of our computer, that is this IPv4 address. But when we connect to the internet, does this IP address shown to the Google server? For example, when I search anything on the Google, does Google know that the person from this IP address search anything on me? No, this does not happen, because this is my private IP address. The IP address by using which I search on Google is called public IP address. So what is the difference between these two? Let's learn about this in detail. Let's say I have a router in my home and it has a public IP address that is given to me by internet service provider, and I pay monthly to internet service provider for allocating me that public IP address. I can search anything with this public IP address on the Google because it is acceptable on the internet world. But in my home I have more than 10 or 12 devices, so I have to buy IP address for each and every device? No, I have only one public IP address, and I can divide that public IP address into my all other devices by using the private IP addresses. So we allocate private IP address to all the devices in our home, and these private IP addresses are useless for the internet world. For example, if I search anything with this IP address, that is my private IP address on the Google will not understand that I do not accept this IP address, because this is private IP address. I accept only public IP address that are allocated and that you pay for. We know that we cannot search with these private IP addresses. So why these private IP addresses are used? Because when I search facebook.com on the Google, my query goes to my router, and as my IP address is not acceptable for the outside world, for the Google, then my router keep this IP address to itself and then take my query with its own IP address to the Google, and Google when reply back with the Facebook page, then it bring that query and give that query to me. Similarly, if any other private IP address is that, let's say some other device on my home, search about youtube.com, then it will go to the router will keep this IP address to itself and get this query to the outside world with its own IP address. That's why these private IP addresses are only used by the router to understand that which query comes from which device, so that it could reply back. Because when I connected to the same internet, when I search google.com, this query do not go to my brother's mobile, and when he search youtube.com, why his query do not come to my mobile? Because we have an public IP addresses, and due to this public IP addresses, our devices become unique. Our routers identify our queries on the base of these private IP addresses. That's the concept of public and private IP addresses. So here is my mobile device, which is also connected with the IP address. It is showing IP address, and here is this IP address is showing, and this is the private IP address. When I search anything on Google, my query does not go out with this IP address, it goes with my router's IP address. So to know what is the IP address of your router, you can see that IP address from these websites. What is my public IP address, or by searching on the Google that what is my IP. Let's say we search this on the Google. So here is the IP, what is my IP address website, and you can also write ipv4.me. So let's say I am searching with the internet with this device, and here is ipv4.me. I am searching with this internet by using the proxy, and it is saying that this is the public IP address of my device. So if I want to further know about this, I can copy this IP address and I can paste this into the info by IP, that getting the as much possible information by using the IP address. So I have an IP address of any device, public IP address, and I want to get information about that, what is the location of this IP address and where it is located. So I will go on this website and paste the IP address on this and get info. So here it is saying that you have your location is city of London, and it is also saying other information that Europe, UK, what is your postal code, latitude, longitude, other details about my IP address. Similarly, if you want to use free proxies that are placed on the internet, you can also use that. For example, here is the IP address of the France. You can also use this to search on the Google to become anonymous. For example, here is the France. If I search by this IP address on the Google, let's say search with this, and here paste this address. So it is giving the information about that IP address, and here it is showing the location of Paris, that this IP address is located in the Paris, and here it is also showing about the France and other thing. So we can use these IP addresses that are placed internet on the for free, and can use them for our purpose. Then next we will learn about the static IP and dynamic IP. Static IP is the IP that is remains static on the internet and do not change. So we know that our private IP addresses are constantly changing. For example, let's say this device goes offline and these two devices goes offline. So when they become online, it might be possible that its IP address is allotted to this mobile and its IP address is allotted to this mobile, because these are private IP addresses and it does not create any effect by changing the IP addresses. So we know that every device on the internet has an IP address. So similar to every website on the internet will have an address, because that is also accessible to the internet. Every server on the internet will have an IP address. So that is true. If we search here by using the ping google.com, then it will show us the IP address of the Google. That is, here is the IP address of the Google, that is 142.250.180.26. So it is showing us the IP address of the Google, that is the static IP, that this IP address cannot change. For example, we know that we buy the domains of the websites. So every website on the internet, for example, let's say facebook.com, will have an IP address that is called static IP address, and this IP address cannot change. Let's say ping facebook.com. So it will also show us that the IP address of facebook.com is 157.240. So it cannot replace the IP address. For example, today this IP address is allotted to the Google and this is to the Facebook. Tomorrow it cannot allow this to the Google and this to the Facebook. By this, anyone searching Google will get Facebook, and anyone searching Facebook will get Google. That's why these static IP addresses are not changed and they are allotted to the one fixed domain. Next concept we have is network interface card. We know that every device on the internet has an IP address. Similarly, every device that is connected to the network or that is offline and not connected to the internet have a hardware address that is called MAC address due to the network interface card. For example, Oppo build a mobile, Samsung build a mobile, Dell build a computer, HP build a laptop. Each of them will have a network interface card, and that will have an embedded MAC address, that is the unique address of every device. For example, we know that there are public and private IP addresses, and our device has private IP address. Similarly, all devices have a private IP address, and the public IP address is exposed to the world, and it go and search any query from the outside world. So on what basis this device is uniquely identified by this router? All these private IP addresses are changeable, and then how this router uniquely identify any device? So here comes the role of the network interface card or MAC address, because every hardware has a unique MAC address. These IP addresses can be assigned to any device. For example, this IP address can be next time assigned to this computer. This IP address can be assigned to this computer, but hardware address cannot be changed. So due to hardware address, routers uniquely identify that this query come from which device, and I have to reply back this query to which device. So our MAC address look like this. In this, our first six characters are organized by uniquely identifier of the company that is making. For example, if Dell is making laptop, then these first six characters will be unique of every Dell device. Similarly, if Samsung building a device, then it has a first six characters that will be unique for that Samsung company. Then the next these further six characters will be uniquely identified that device built by them. So if you want to know about the IP MAC address of your own computer, then you can go to the command prompt and search here ipconfig /all. So if you press enter, then it will show you the whole configuration about your internet, and here it is showing you that physical address of your computer is this. So in this we know that these first six characters are of the unique characters of my company that made my computer, and then next are of my computer. Let's say I search these characters online, that what is the first these three characters of which company. So it is saying that the vendor or company of this MAC address is this Shenzhen Century or Technology company. So by this you can find out the company and MAC address of your computer. So most of the devices, for example laptop and other have built-in MAC address, but some devices like if we custom build our PC, and then we can add this network interface card externally. So our MAC address can also change. For example, if we have a CPU of a Dell company and we add the network interface card externally of any other company, then our MAC address will be changed. So next topic is our routers. Routers routes the traffic between the IP subnetworks. We will learn about the subnetworks in the next lectures, but for now you can understand that routers makes forwarding decision based on the IP addresses. That by knowing the IP address, routers makes forwarding decision that they know that if they can answer this query or not. If they cannot answer this query, then they will forward that IP address to the next router that are in their neighborhood. These routers can be installed on the local area network, wide area network, and they can use copper and fiber optics. In this video, we learn about the IP address, IPv4 and IPv6 address, public and private IP address, and then we also know that if we want to know our private IP address on the Windows, we can write ipconfig and ifconfig. If we are on Linux, then we can check our public IP address by going to the ipv4 and we can also check the location and name server and other DNS information about that IP address by info.ip.com. Then we again learn that what is static IP and what is dynamic IP, and why are the IPs of websites like Google, Facebook and other domains are fixed and they do not change. Then we learn about the routers and how the routers routes the traffic on the internet. So that's it for today. Thank you very much.